Good evening, everyone. Good evening and welcome to meeting 2 of the Northwest Area Elementary School Boundary Study. We're gathering here tonight in the Milford Mill Academy cafeteria. Invite everyone to please make sure you've signed in on the sign-in sheets, the green sign-in sheets for our committee members and the pink sign-in sheets for any observers. Committee members, please make your way to the front tables. You don't have to sit in your groups yet. If you need to sit a little closer to the screens, we certainly understand that and appreciate that. And later on, when we have our breakout discussions, you can go to your unique 5 tables. Observers, we have some tables in the back for you, and there are observer copies of some of the materials on the back table. In the event of an emergency that we should have to evacuate the cafeteria, such as a fire alarm, we invite you to take a moment to please note the exits around us. Our closest exits are out the front, the way you came in, and we can proceed to either the main doors, up the steps, the way you came in, or we're down the hallway here to the side door to exit by the athletic fields. And we would take those sign-in sheets with us to make sure that we have accountability. So please do make sure you take a moment to sign in for accountability. We have staff members here to assist you throughout the evening. Our staff members are wearing orange tag on their lanyards. So raise your hand if you have a question, committee members, and one of our staff members will be glad to come around and help you. We are live streaming tonight. Thank you, BCPS-TV, for joining us. Live streaming so that our folks at home can join us via the website and YouTube Live. Committee members, should you have any questions or comments this evening, please be sure to raise your hands, and myself or Mr. Taylor will be around with a microphone because we do want to make sure that we capture your voices for the record of the meeting, as those live streams become archived afterwards so that they can be rewatched, and we want to make sure that we've captured all our voices. All materials from this meeting and previous meetings, as well as previous videos, can all be found on our website at www.bcps.org. At the bottom of the page, there's a boundary change button, and you can follow the link to the Northwest Area Elementary School number 2 boundary change. That's also a great place for our observers and members of the community to capture your feedback. We did capture our first feedback comment from one of our members of the public, so do make sure, committee members, that you check out the website frequently, and we have those comments logged there periodically. Again, to our members of the public, that's the best way to reach the committee through your comments is through that comment field on the website. We do remind our observers joining us the role of observers. There are multiple opportunities for public engagement. These meetings are primarily for committee members, so we do ask observers, please be mindful of your role as observers. Please do not approach the committee members' tables while they're working. Please do not engage or talk with the committee members, and respect their workspace. Again, we do have opportunities for public engagement at the public information sessions coming up, through the comment forms, through Board of Education hearings, and other such venues. So thank you very much. With that, we'd also like to take a moment to thank all the offices, the support offices in the back that are joining us and supporting this process, along with the Office of Strategic Planning. So, appreciate you. Thank you very much. And over to Mr. James Cooper.
Thank you, Chris. And again, thank you all committee members, members of the public, those viewing virtually for coming out tonight. Very important boundary study. We appreciate your commitment to the process. Getting started a little late here, so I'll try to breeze through the presentation as fast as I can so you guys have enough time to dive into these maps and actually be able to mark them up. So just an overview of tonight and our agenda here. We're going to review some new information, some follow-up slides on some questions that you may have had from last meeting. We have a draft stat handout that you have there in your binders as well. We have 2 new options 3 and 4, as well as options 1 and 2 that were presented to you at last meeting as well. We're going to have you guys collaborate in your small working groups per the same task that you did last time. Get together, discuss these maps, try to get them marked up a little bit more, try to visualize moving some of these boundaries to better align with the considerations. And then we'll have you discuss some of your discussions around your small groups with the greater committee. And then we'll try to get you out of here by 8 o'clock at the latest. So at the end of the night, we'll have you guys be well versed on the enrollment statistics. So understanding what options 1 through 4 and the effects of them on the utilization on all the schools within this boundary study area. Again, you do have that stat handout in your binder. If you didn't get a packet, please let us know. We'll get you one to put inside your binder. Want to get your feedback on these options via your small group exercise. Again, we really want you to try to mark up these maps. I know at meeting 1, you didn't really have a lot of time. It was a lot of information thrown at you. So we really want to get your feedback on these and try to visualize moving some of these communities around to try to balance out utilization within the study area. And then also share your perspectives by each of your members in your small groups with the greater committee. So here we are in meeting 2. As I explained last time, it's a 4-month process for you as a committee, but it goes by very fast, and we're already here at meeting 2. Our next meeting is scheduled on October the 9th, and a very important meeting is on October 23rd at meeting 4, and at that meeting is when we'll try to dwindle down all the options that you guys create to a handful of options that you want to bring forth to the public. On Wednesday, November 6th, is those options that you choose to vote on as a committee to bring forth to the public that you're actually considering to recommend is what are the options that will be going forth on November 6th at the public information session. Following that, then we'll have a final anticipated final meeting on December the 4th, where you guys will come to a consensus on the option to recommend to the school board. So looking at the enrollment and utilization, this is based off the end of year enrollment as of June 2024. And looking at that last column here, you'll see that it is evident that after the capital improvements that are going on within this boundary study area and the early childhood movement and expansion, that there are a number of schools that are going to be over capacity and overutilized within this boundary study area, while there are a number of schools such as Deer Park Elementary that are going to be underutilized. So it is evident that a boundary study is needed in this area in order to balance out utilization. So looking at the overarching key objectives for this boundary study area, we are tasked with providing capacity relief to Northwest elementary schools within this study area. Our objective are to return all early childhood 3- and 4-year-old programs at Canfield ELC to their home schools or regional programs. And then we're also looking to expand early childhood programs per the blueprint for Maryland's future at all schools participating in the boundary study process. Again, want you guys to be mindful of the primary and secondary considerations, and specifically these primary considerations of efficient use of capacity in affected schools. So really looking at balancing out utilization at all the schools within the study area, trying to get them balanced, if at all possible, getting them to that study area average so that all schools have equitable utilization and an equitable learning environment for all students. Also looking at maintaining or increasing the diversity among the schools to reflect the diversity of the region in the school system. Some of the secondary considerations are listed here, and just to name a few: maintain the continuity of neighborhoods, and then also kind of looking at the location of feeder patterns and school boundaries and the continuity as students progress from elementary school to middle school, assuring that those feeder splits are feeding either 100%, or if they are splitting, that it's an equitable split of 50-50 and not splitting off small splits such as a 90% split to a 10% split as students progress from elementary school to middle school. A follow-up question that we had from some of the committee members at meeting 1 was, can you explain how to interpret the walk zone map? We provided you guys a large plot of a walk zone map that just shows you all of the walk zones for all of the elementary schools within the study area. And walk zones, they are provided and created by the Office of Transportation, and they set these boundaries for all the schools. And it's typically set where all students that live within 1.5 miles of their schools, they are not provided transportation, and there are certain criteria, is it a major road, are there crosswalks available, street lights, things of that nature that help set that boundary. So that map that you see here on this snippet, there's a large plot. You also have one within your binder as well. Those shaded areas kind of show you what each walk zone is for each school. The grayed out area, if it's a grayed out area, that means that if a student lives in the gray out area, that means that they are transported via bus, or a parent may drive that student to school. Now there is a difference between a walk zone area. A walk zone is just showing the current zone, walk zone for that particular school. There's a walk out area. Now that shows that what the walk zone could be if that zone for that school expands. So for instance, Deer Park, if this zone expands out and extends into this area, then that zone could potentially be a walk zone for Deer Park as well. But currently that zone is zoned to Newtown, so therefore that is considered a walk out area for Deer Park if Deer Park zone extends. Another follow-up question was, how is pre-kindergarten handled in enrollment and capacity numbers? One of the primary objectives is to expand the early childhood programs at all the participating schools, and all estimated enrollment counts are reserved for preschool and pre-K. So since all schools in the study area are expanding their preschool, pre-K classes at their facilities, that column there on the right in this table is showing the amount of seats that are always going to be preserved in all the estimated enrollment counts as we consider moving boundaries. So those seats are always going to be preserved. So within this entire study area, there are going to be 610 seats preserved for preschool and pre-K within all the elementary schools within this boundary study area. So you guys did have a small group exercise where you had your first take at looking at some baseline options, your first take at looking at planning blocks and being able to examine what it may look like if some boundaries were to be moved to try to align with the primary and secondary considerations and balance utilization in this study area. And some of the takebacks that we were able to gather based off of that was out of draft option 1 and draft option 2, draft option 2 seemed to garner the most attention. Draft option 1 wasn't as favorable. That apartment split up there in the Woodhome area was not very favorable from majority of the committee members. And draft option 2 didn't have that split. That area stayed in Woodhome. So a lot of committee members seemed to favor draft option 2. Another thing was there was one actual markup that the yellow group considered, which was moving planning block 523, which was zoned to go to Deer Park, which is currently zoned for Newtown, but zoned to go to Deer Park Elementary in option 2. So we did end up creating an option 3 tonight, which was built off of option 2, but it moves that planning block 523 to Deer Park to create option 3 tonight. So you will see that as you examine that, that's an option that was built from the yellow group, that you can still go examine and see the movement of statistics and still build upon that option here tonight. I want you to remember that everything is draft. Nothing is written in stone. I get it's a lot of information, but we really want you to understand that all these options are subject to change, and new options can and will be created as we go through these processes. So again, we do have 4 draft options here tonight. You do have 8.5 by 11, but we do have these large plot maps, which are ideal. So make sure when you do get into your small working groups, spread them out. All 4 options are still available to unite. Options 1 and 2 are still on the table. So if you want to go back and look at those, you do have those available to you. These ops are also on the interactive web map that you can reach at croppermap.com/BCPS-NWES-BS2024. And then again, you can reach all these handouts and the statistics related to these options at bcps.org under the Boundary Study webpage as well. So I'm gonna go through the quick option tables just so you guys can understand them, but as you're gonna get into your small working groups, feel free to ask me any specific questions or any of the other helpers here tonight if you have any questions regarding these tables. There is the estimated enrollment tables, which just show you the head count on how many students are estimated to be enrolled in every option. And then you have the over-under capacity numbers, and then the overall utilization at each school tables. So if you can understand if it's a negative number, that means that shows how many seats are available at each school. If there's a positive number, that shows how many seats over capacity that school is. And then the utilization is just taking that enrollment number divided by the adjusted state rated capacity for that school and then shown as a percentage. There's also demographic data. So you also have option 1 and 2 demographic data as well as current. And then we've also provided option 3 and 4 to show how demographics change based on the boundary movements in these options. And then there's also impact data. Just shows you based on the movement of these boundaries, how many students will be impacted. These are based on K through 5. There was an update on option 1 and 2 before those numbers were kind of showing preschool and pre-K students. So there was an update to show that these numbers are only supposed to show K through 5 students that are impacted, not any preschool, because those numbers are going to be because all schools will be expanded based on movement, so those numbers are going to be preserved. But now these numbers show all K through 5th grade students are going to be impacted in each option. The table on the right, remember green rows show no students being impacted. Any of the beige or pink rows show how many students are going to be impacted. The left column shows what current school they attend. The middle column shows what school they will be attending in the option, and the right column shows, the far right column shows exactly how many students will be changing to that school. We also have feeder pattern tables. This shows option 3, but you do have all option feeder pattern tables, and this just shows you the percentage of elementary school students that will be attending the middle school. And then you also have the amount of splits, and this just shows you how many splits exist in the current configuration and also in each option as well. And then you have the amount of walk zone students, the current amount of walk zone students, and then how many walk zone students exist in every option. So just looking at option 3, again, option 3 was built off of option 2. The only difference between option 3 and option 2 is this small area, planning block 523, that changes from Hernwood to Deer Park. Again, some relief is provided to Lyons Mill, Newtown, and Woodholm, some of the more overcrowded schools in this boundary study area. But there are still 4 elementary schools that remain over capacity where they don't have any seats available at all. This option is also tied for the second least impactful of the 4 options, with only 526 K through 5 students impacted. And it also results in about 5 elementary to middle school feeder pattern splits. There's also option 4. Yes. One. Can I get a mic? 1 second. Can we ask for the mic just for the BCPS-TV? 1 second.
So on option 3, it says 3 elementary schools remain over capacity, but that's not what the slide says.
Yes, that's an update from the an improper print up, I believe. So in option 4 is also built from option 2, as option 2 garnered the most attention. But in option 4, you'll see that there are a few changes. You'll see that Lyons Mill extends a little bit more into what is currently Newtown area. It extends a little bit more and gives Newtown a little bit more relief. You'll also see that Winans extends a little bit more in what is currently Woodholm Elementary zone. And no school's utilization is greater than 5% away from the district average. So you'll see in option 4 that it actually draws most of the schools within 5% of the district average, which is the closest of all 4 options that are presented to you. But yet, given the high district average, 3 elementary schools still remain over capacity at greater than 100% utilized in this option. It is the most impactful of the 4 options at 571 K through 5 students impacted. And it results in 5 elementary to middle school feeder splits as well. So we're going to review these draft options, have you guys collaborate within your small working groups. Each group will have 45 minutes to review these draft options. Groups, you do have markers and post-it notes, and we definitely, again, encourage you to mark up these maps. You can write on them. Draw arrows, certain areas that you want to move from one area to another. Oh, you have a question here?
I'll give you a microphone.
One mic, I'm sorry.
I'm just curious if any of these options are considering the construction that is going on. Some of these neighborhoods have, homes that are still being built.
Yes, these options do consider the construction, but as you go through and evaluate these options, we certainly encourage you to consider your movements on these options. These options are built off of your feedback, but they definitely take into consideration the considerations of capital improvements that are going on in the area.
Okay.
But if you're familiar with, hey, take for example, we know that Church Lane may have a development going on. This is just an example. Maybe you as a committee member say, let's not fill Church Lane up too much because we know that there's a big development going on in that area. So let's give them a little bit more relief because there's going to be families moving in. But that's a good perspective to have.
All right, thank you.
Yep.
Just add
Yep.
one thing. One resource that I don't think we mentioned was last time when you guys were meeting, there was discussion about the demographic data and the statistics, and you're wondering, getting a better understanding of the demographic breakdowns in this area. We created, I don't know if you mentioned this, James, I don't think we did. We created some maps. We have them on the walls back here. There's one that has economic disadvantaged demographic information and then race and ethnicity, so that you can kind of see how the race and ethnic and then economic distribution is for the study area. Just wanted to add that.
Yep. It's a good point to have. So yeah, like I said, we definitely encourage you to mark up these maps, draw arrows, try to visualize any changes that you feel you want to make in your small group. Kind of some discussing your findings, your observation. Try to think about what are some of the strengths and limitations of these options. How can you improve them? How can you get them better aligned with the primary and secondary considerations? Kind of have somebody kind of keep the discussion on track. Make sure that all voices are heard. Anybody's opinions or their ideas on certain movements are illustrated. Kind of have somebody record some of your group's discussion. If there are any unrecorded answers or unrecorded questions, please write those down. We have an orange sheet there to write down any unrecorded questions that we can answer and answer them on follow-up slides at the next meeting. And then have somebody report your group's findings at the end of this 45-minute session to the broader committee, so that everybody can benefit from your individual small group's work session. So without further ado, I'll have you guys dive in, and we'll reconvene here in about 45 minutes. Feel free to ask me or any of the other members with orange tags any questions that you need throughout this process. And feel free to spread out.
3 and 4 opened up. That's where we introduced option 3 and option 4.
So if you go to option
But the middle school zones, as you'll see here, are not going to change. So any kids that are zoned to Deer Park Middle School, for example, are still going to be zoned to Deer Park Middle School, no, even if they change elementary school. Same thing with the high schools.
yeah, I get that, but why aren't we trying to stop the overcrowding of that particular
Because Palmer County Public Schools approaches
That's my dad.
boundaries
That's
in
my
3
dad.
different levels. We approach them at the elementary level, at the middle school level, and the high school level. Last year we did, or actually 2 years ago, implemented and implemented last year was the Deer Park study, where we did rezone middle schools to help balance for the Deer Park middle school.
So is there's a new addition
I'm sorry, I'm
Deer Park
misspeaking.
Elementary School.
Deer Park Elementary is going to be a new school, but we rebalanced between Deer Park, was it Deer Park Franklin? It's we did a study.
So the northwest side is you have Northwest Academy, Deer Park, Magnet Middle, Franklin, and you have Pikesville. That's on the northwest.
Yeah, we did. It was Pikesville. Pikesville was involved. Northwest Academy was involved. Deer Park was involved.
Right.
Franklin was involved.
But how was Franklin involved?
There's a balance.
Okay.
There's a balancing enrollment.
Okay, because they're all the way out in Ricestown, Maryland.
Right, but their boundaries are up, but they
start
all the way down.
yeah.
Further down. So yeah, that was
They
a
start at
balancing.
Hammershot.
Sure, and that was a balancing of enrollment. And then we just did a huge middle school study for the central and northeast area to account for the new middle school at Nottingham and the additions at Pine Grove which are coming online. So yeah, there are when Palmer County Public Schools does boundary studies, they typically approach them at
Oh yeah,
the
I got
level
Leo.
of concern, at the elementary level or the middle school level.
What would they do in high school?
Sure. Well, when there's a high school issue, if there's a capital construction project that involves high school, or when there's balancing that needs to be
I'll
done,
remind you. I'll
then
remind
they
you
would
one
then they
day.
would go to high school.
That's cool.
But this is just focused on the elementaries because we have the Deer Park Wisconsin, which are getting extra capacity, and we need to account for that balancing of enrollment.
I get it because they've been overcrowded.
But it's not going to affect the middle school or the high school zoning.
I'm not worried about them changing the zone. I'm worried about them once these kids start to graduate from elementary school. If their parents don't leave that area,
There's always the chance of that.
I get they don't stop at 100%. They go
All right, committee members. Hey, if we can make our way back to our tables, we're going to reconvene here and kind of discuss our findings. I know we're deep in conversation, committee members. I know.
Mike went already had everybody corralled the other night. Public comment.
We'll make our way back to our tables and then we can have our open discussion. Start thinking about who's going to report your group's findings. Got the mic there. All righty. If we could quiet up here so we can have our first group. I'll have red group since you guys are just right on par. Studious. Yes, you will have to talk. I definitely will prefer you to stand. And if you have any maps to show, it would be great for the camera and the rest of your committee members to see. I'll help hold up if you need them, but just kind of go through your thoughts, any markups. If there's any specific planning block that you guys liked, areas you liked, areas you didn't, explain it all. A particular option.
Okay, we gravitated, well, options to us, option 2 and 3 were very similar except for the 7 students that are along Liberty Road. So we liked option 3 to include the 7 students and not make a bus driver have to make a turn on Liberty Road in the morning. That's just a lot, and it's only 7 kids. In exchange to like alleviate that puts the new Deer Park over capacity, like 101, 102. We said we could take this small little block. They were too blind to know what numbers they are, but we labeled them. Okay. It's like 15 kids that are currently Lyons Mill students, keep them in Lyons Mill, which takes them back out of Deer Park a little bit.
All right.
But that was the only thing. We like 3, which is basically the same as 2.
Awesome. So you liked option 3 with a slight modification of moving 15 students out of Deer Park into Lyons Mill?
That are currently Lyons Mill students anyway.
So it'll reduce
they just
impacts.
stay, reduce the impact a little bit on Deer Park.
Were there any other discussions, questions, observations that anybody from your group had? Anything that you want the greater committee to hear?
I mean, we talked about option 4, it splits up a community that's currently in Newtown, adds more to Lyons Mill, puts Lyons Mill up. We felt like that split that community along 795, I guess. Okay. So that we didn't like option 4 as much for that reason.
Okay, she's talking about, planning block 506. Okay. All right.
Makes sense.
That's good. I appreciate it, red group. All right, we'll go down the line here to orange group.
Okay, I'll speak a little and then I'll pass it to my colleagues. So what we really wanted to do, and we talked to Mr. Cooper, which was very helpful in us understanding the boundaries. The next step was really to look at being able to align the economic disadvantage because we really want to make sure we're mindful of not moving kids, families, disrupting families, and they're the likeliest of those to move. And so we were very mindful in mapping our map to state where those economically disadvantaged communities are, and also understanding whether they were community schools, Title I schools, because we do recognize as these children potentially move, resources have to move as well. And so though these models don't tell us that, we're being mindful of that and putting that into consideration so that we can thoughtfully kind of provide a recommendation that we all feel that we're presenting a good product. So those are some of the things that we talked about in consideration. And the new schools that are being built. We recognize that Scotts Branch will be a new school, and so that means that their capacity will grow. And so it's really putting those things into consideration as well. It was apparent that the immediate need is Newtown, and so understanding that also helps. I think this group talked a little bit of how to provide that relief at the moment, but we're kind of thinking long term, but we want to make sure that those resources, whatever these kids are moving and families are moving, that those resources move for them and they're supported as they're moving into these different schools. So, did I miss anything? No. Okay.
Were there any particular planning blocks that like you were kind of targeting, just kind of to get some of the other committee members kind of in line with some of the areas you were looking at? If you had any in mind, just
It's a
curious.
good question,
Yes.
Mr. Cooper. You always have those good questions.
Yes.
I'll say that we looked at option 3.
Okay.
I don't think as a team we looked at 4 too. I think that's an ongoing kind of collaboration that we can do.
It's evolving.
But now that we understand the boundaries,
Mm-hmm.
now we can meaningfully ask questions to the principals to make sure that we understand how these kids are moving.
Yeah.
Are they going to get supported as well? Because it does matter in our deliberations.
Absolutely. No problem.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Anybody else from this group? Thank you. Thank you, Orange Group. Good work. Good work. Yellow Group.
So we liked option 3. We had some questions around transportation as well as capacity. So we recognized that Newtown, Woodhome, and Lyons Mill needed the most relief. But with us liking option 3, we wanted to move planning block 911, 912, and 910 to Winans, which is currently zoned for Woodhome, and option 3 zones them for Church Lane. But we have parents that are in Church Lane saying that Church Lane is over capacity right now, or to somewhat moving 78 students there would not work. So we moved them to Winans for a new option.
Okay. Awesome. But, okay. Were there any other aspects of transportation?
Make sure about the buses for the children and the walking route.
In the walking route?
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. You got it, Grace. Yeah.
We love option 3, and if you remember last week, we were saying that we needed an option 3. So we got our option 3 because we like the ideal of the kids not crossing. There's that little patch there on Liberty Road where the fire station is, and right behind that there's a kind of side street, and there's a few houses there. And option, I think 1 and 2 was talking about basically kids would have to cross the highway to go to Hernwood. And I'm in the company of 2 lovely principals here who helped us make a decision. Hernwood Elementary and Winan, and the principal from Hernwood said, oh, she might get 0 to 20 kids, she's happy.
Informative. I appreciate it.
Good evening, everyone. So we're looking at option 3 for us. The only thing for us was we would like to move the planning block 506 because we know that Newtown Elementary School needs a lot of relief. They are over capacity as it is, and those are 2 separate communities, so you would not be taken away from the neighborhoods. So we would want to include 506 being separated to go to Lyons Mill instead of Newtown. Also, we have Church Lane's principal with us on our team, and it would be a huge impact for her to take on building blocks 910 and 909. We would rather bring them back to Woodhome where they currently were at option 1 originally, to give her some relief that way. And then we also talked about 523 should go to Deer Park. That will relieve some of the relief over there, which was about 7 kids. And then building block 909 and 913, we were considering making them go to, was it Winans? Yes, Winans. And they'll be able to probably get bus services over there. And taking relief off of Winans to go to Scotch Branch would be building block 702, which was about 19 kids, moving them from Winans to Scotch Branch, and looking at the areas and the neighborhoods and considering the Title I schools and the community schools and the schools that would need to keep their fundings, because for us in Woodhome, we would lose funding possibly if we take advantage from our 910 and 912 zones that we currently have.
Okay. Oh, Chris got it right there. That's great. That's great. Anybody else from that group have any statements they want to make? Anybody from the broader committee, any ideas, any thoughts you want to share with the committee? We have one here.
I had a question. What option was the blue group looking at?
3, 4? Oh.
3 or 4 could work.
3 or 4.
It's just mainly for us. Option 3 is fine, but we just want to put 506.
You like that Lions Mill move into Newtown? Okay.
Newtown needs the help.
Anybody else with any other statements they want to make to the broader committee? I really like the discussion that I saw tonight. I like the discussion around the planning block demographic map. It seemed like it was very informative for you. If there's any other additional information that you guys will need, please feel free to let us know. We'll try to bring anything we can bring to the table to help inform you on your decision making. It looks like we have some options to develop based on your feedback for tonight. So at our next upcoming meeting, which is scheduled for Wednesday, October 9th, we will bring back markups based options based on your exact markups. Some here tonight. We'll compile those, and you'll be able to deliberate on those at our next meeting. Get a question? Hey, Chris, Mike. No. Oh, I'm sorry.
I was just saying, have you guys considered having Title I to be a part of some of this to see how the differences in the numbers will impact different schools?
Yeah, consider every Title I. Consider every Title I.
Because that makes a big difference.
I believe that department was here. I don't know if she's here tonight, but okay. Okay. She might have just came in from. Okay. We'll definitely follow up with some more information regarding that. It's a very good question. But outside of that, looks like we'll get you out of here early, get you home. A lot of traffic. Oh, that's a lot of a lot of excitement. Good. And we'll bring back new options. I appreciate your hard work tonight, committee. It's greatly appreciated. You guys get home safely. And I'll see you in 2 weeks, Wednesday, October 9th, 6 to 8 p.m., same location, Milford Mill Academy.
Committee members, if you would, please turn your lanyards in at the table so that we can recollect them and redistribute them in each meeting. That way we can be sure to identify you. Thanks so much.